Okay, for those of you looking to get into Fusion, you're going to want to navigate to the classroom and go into classwork. On the left, there'll be a Fusion tab. In here, your teacher should have included the Fusion login steps. There are multiple pages of information. At first, your teacher should have created you an account. They've done this by logging in and inputting your first name, your last name, and your school email address. Regardless, you will need to go to page 1 and the first link to create that account. Click on this link, follow the steps. If you get to this screen and you do not have a resend circled in red here, if you don't have that resend link, then your teacher did not input you into Autodesk. They can do that right now. If you have the resend link, click on it, follow the steps in your email, and you will create an account. If you've already completed this process, you'll want to scroll down to page 5. This is the link that will direct you to Fusion for continuous login. You can see that there are the orange buttons, and then you will input your school information. So I launch Fusion, click Next. It has saved my password, and it will begin to load. Once loaded, it might require you to create a team. If it does ask you to create a team, then you can simply put your name in there. First and last name is fine. Also, your teachers may have been telling you that using a mouse for your Chromebook in these 3D modeling programs is very helpful, as well as bringing headphones in so you can hear these video tutorials. The first sample we're going to create is the red block isometric. All of the dimensions are posted here. We'll be creating the 3D model. Now, when you get into this program, it brings you to the modeling area. You can see that it says design. There are multiple options here. We're going to stick with design, and we always start with a two-dimensional sketch on this plane. So you want the vertical up and down plane. You also want to be in the top right corner, which is positive numbers. So I simply clicked once. Then I'm going to use a 2-point rectangle and create the entire area that I will be cutting from and adding onto. So I'm going to start with a rectangle that is 4 inches long by the total height, which is 1 plus 1 plus 1/4 inch. That is the entire height. So 2 1/4 by 4. I start by clicking with the 2-point rectangle. I click once for the 1 point. And then I have multiple options. I can type 4 here, hit Tab on the keyboard, 2.25. If I don't want to do that, I can draw my rectangle, and then I can go and dimension it after the fact. Sketch dimension. 4 by 2.25. So that is this entire area that I will cut this hole out of and this slant. You'll notice that in the top right there is a cube. If I click the Home button, it brings me to the isometric view, which is the exact view I'm looking at here. the 3D isometric view. What I want is to continually look at the front view, and then I'm going to extrude. Basically, I'm going to make this a three-dimensional object. So I can do that multiple ways. I can finish the sketch, and then click extrude. I can click E on the keyboard. You'll see how it highlights as a E in parentheses. Or I can also right-click and do a press pull. So I'm going to start by clicking extrude for this one. I'm going to look at that 3D image. You see how the arrow goes that direction? I'm simply going to type in the distance I need to go, which is 1.5 inches. So 1.5 inches. So there's my block. I now see the 3 dimensions of the block. The whole width is 1.5 inches. Now I need to cut out this area, the hole, and the slant, and I still need to add the top piece. So I'm going to start by cutting this hole into the space. I know that it's 2 inches in and 1 inch up. So I'm going to go and create a sketch on the front of my object. I'm going to create a circle. What size is that circle? It says the diameter is 1 inch. I click 1 inch. Now I can go back and use that dimension tool. As I mentioned before, it's to the center point. 2 inches to the center point and then 1 inch up. Always follow these arrows here. They're dimension lines. So from here over was 2 inches. From here to the center is 1 inch. Now I can finish the sketch. This time I'm going to right click and use the press pull. And I'm going to go and cut the distance all the way through, which is 1.5 inches. I could also click on these different areas, one side, two side symmetric, type, operation, I want cut. Objects to cut. So I'm going to cut this direction 1.5. So there it is. I can click and drag and I can see that it goes all the way through my object. I'm going to go back to the front view and look back at my measurements. I need to cut this piece out of the back corner. It's 1/2 inch in, 1/4 inch in height, and it is 1 inch up from the bottom. So I'm going to use 3 dimensions to figure this out. I can right click, create a sketch, or I can come up to the toolbar, click on that. There we go. Up top, this toolbar is called a ribbon. I know it needs to connect here. I know it needs to be 1/2 inch by 1/4 inch. Remember, I can hit tab on the keyboard to go between the two. Because if I try and click, it's going to move on me. So there we go. Then I'm going to dimension from the bottom to that bottom line. Just to verify, it says 1 inch in height. You can create the dimensions exactly where they belong. So since that 1 inch is there, I made that 1 inch there. The 1/4 inch is in the middle. I made the 1/4 inch in the middle. That'll help you identify where they belong. I'm going to go to that 3D view again. I'm going to extrude. Select that area. I need to cut again. And same thing, it's going to be 1.5 inches. Clicking and dragging works. Typing in the number, that also works. Click OK. And now I have the cut all the way through. So I have this design done. I still need to cut this angle. Remember, if I click on the house button, it gives me the isometric view, which is exactly what I'm looking at here. So this cut needs to be made. I need to do a couple of different measurements to figure this out. The 1.25 is the starting point of this line, and then it's 3 inches total. So what I'm going to do is I am going to create my new sketch. This time I'll use a right click, create sketch. I'm going to take and just use a line tool. I'm going to draw my line from that corner over 3 inches. I'm going to draw another line from here up that 1.25. Remember, if I have 25 cents in my pocket, I have a quarter, right? 0.25. Those are my 2 points to make this slant. So I don't need to know the angle. I just made the 3-inch line and the 1.25 inch line. Now I'm going to draw from that point down to here. And I might get lucky if I try to extrude this, but I might not. See how it highlights itself? Sometimes I'll need to enclose that triangle completely with more lines. So I'm going to right click, I'm going to extrude. Again, we're going to cut 1.5 inches. Click on my house button. I'm getting closer. The last thing I need to do is create this cylinder on top. It is a 1-inch diameter. I have measurements showing me where the center mark is. The only thing that's not on this drawing is the height. The height is going to be 1 inch. So let's draw our circle first. Look at the top view. Create a sketch. So I go up to the ribbon. I draw my 1-inch circle. Then I'm going to use that dimension tool. From there to there. What is that dimension? Let's take a look back at our drawing. That's 3/4 of an inch. So if I have 3/4, I have 75 cents. Then where is the other dimension from? From that front point, it's 1.5 inches to the center. So I'm still in the dimension tool. From that front point to here, it's 1.5 inches. I'm going to go back to my 3D view, isometric view. I've got to finish my sketch. And I'm going to extrude again, or the press pull. It's got it going up, which is the right way. It's a new body. It's not a cut. And I'm making that 1 inch. When I click on the house, it looks exactly how I want it to. So again, you have the ribbon up here. That's where your toolbar is. You have all of the different views. Front, top, right side. You can click and drag to orbit a little bit on the different corners. And then the home will always bring you back to the isometric view.